welcome. I'm your host as we embark upon
American building survey across this whole nation, dealing mainly with historic lack of preservation. This entire land used to be run by the Freemasons. They spread all across the land a false narration. So we gonna take up this time now and it's the inclination. I hope that you will join me on this fine occasion. I say, I'm gonna come back from Mama Whisper about the Wyndham, East London, the Westford, West and by the Hartford. I'm gonna end up on some place probably near a New Haven. As straight as the crow flies, or maybe it's a raven. I'm going down to Stanford, maybe in the nation. I'm gonna looking all around the building's foundation. I know, because there seems to be some kind of a flood before, because they got the window all the way down to the broken and broken mountains of Minnesota. Sometimes Connecticut don't provide much information. And every time that happens, I resort to a reckless speculation. It's not ideal, but I get at least to use my imagination. It could be worse, I could be stupid in front of a PlayStation. I'm not. Instead, I go biddy bong, biddy bing bong bong, biddy biddy bong bong, goodbye, biddy bing bong bong, biddy biddy bong bong, biddy bing bong bong, biddy bing bong bong, goodbye. Those are just a bunch of words that I made up on vacation. Don't forget about Jimmy.
What do you do, folks, when your life is reaching peak instability? Well, apparently you make songs about Connecticut and look at old buildings. That's what we're going to do here. This is the Woodhull House, owned by Mr. Trumbull, then Kimball, then Trumbull, then back to another Trumbull, and then to McDougald. A guy named McDougald ruined the Dr. Seussian trend we had here. Really, it's all about the rhyme. So, if you're not going to have a name that conforms to the standard, Mr. McDougald, unless you got a zertin behind that curtain or a wug under the rug, I suggest you get to steppin'. Rather ostentatious home, this Greek revival, built in 1830, we're told, and is the usual Connecticut's trend. Not much to know about it. We have here a little telltale sign. You know, I've said it before. These little spiky sconces are a telltale sign of the old empire. You know what I mean. You know. What's going on there? This one's got like little alien eye stalks, and he's just looking terrified. It's almost like there's someone behind him that got a hold of his lips, you know, pulling him open like that, like leaning out from behind the thing, and he's like, "Hold still, Miss McGregor. Eat your food." Anyway, I know it's not really happening, but it could be. In a world of my very own creation. This here is Johnston House, if I remember right. Either that's mad cool points that I just remember stuff like that, or it's super dorky. My money's on the latter. It's the John Johnson House. I think I added a T. Well, no T for thee. House built 1840, roughly. They say the original owner was probably John Johnson Bachelor, whose father was a president of Norwich Bank, Dr. Linnell. This comes from an interview with next-door neighbor Harry McDougald, who we just heard about, whose house is equally as ostentatious. You'll notice the cornice with its denticulated, beaded bed mold. Witness the large dormer on the third story here. Arched roof and these three windows. Supported on these brackets here. Very unique. And now, it's separated into 5 different apartments. 5. Before Bachelor lived there, now 5 different freaking families could live there. John Johnson. But no one really knows. This is all based on an interview with the guy who lives on 12 Mediterranean Lane. His name is Case. Just look at that door. What is that? That'd be funny if it was like a clown nose. You squeeze it to honk it, like a doorbell. Yeah, rather tall. You know what I'm going with it, maybe. Tough crowd. This one here is the Hezekiah Perkins house, who lived from 1751 to 1822. He gave the land to the town for the park in front of the house. Wow. They don't know when it was built. They don't know who built it. Usual. He was like, well, when I die, just go ahead and use the front yard as a park. But wait till I die, damn it. I don't like children trampling the posies. That's what it says here. I mean, I wouldn't make stuff up. Lack of information leads to, of which there seems to be, quite the plethora. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Good God. This one-of-a-kind mamba-jamba. And for Connecticut standards, they've given us a lot of information. By that, I mean, a few sentences. And if I remember correctly, this was a city hall in Norwich. That's right. And we're told, amongst other very little snippets, it is significant, as it's a largely unaltered Second Empire style. I mean something different when I say it. I didn't even know it was a style. First of all, I started calling the Second Empire meaning something totally different, and then I found out there was an architectural style, and I was like, what? They're basically telling you what's going on in there. The original plans are not available. No. Charles H. Preston designed it, we're told. That's pretty much it. Well, we're told there was an earlier one. In 1865, there was a committee appointed to select a suitable site for the county and town purpose to replace the courthouse, which had completely been destroyed by fire. Yes, just like the White House and every other building in city and town ever, it all burned by fire. That's how you know we built it. They were given the power to erect the building, and early in 1870, a site was selected for the multi-purpose building. It should be noted that the function for New London County have traditionally been shared by courthouses in New London and in Norwich. This dual courthouse system is unique to the state and has had a good record, despite plans to build new dual facilities in the future. Each story is supplied with its own water closet. How exciting is that? But really, this is an amazing building, especially with the illuminated dials, I'm told, on the clock. The work was superintended by Evan Burdick from Burnick and Arnold, executed by Gilbert L. Congdon. Masonry was by Joseph Smith, not that Joseph Smith. And there's a basement, and the basement is used for the jail. Not like Yale. Take it off the record, Jim. No fucking arguing. You already injected yourself in the reggae song, which don't think it escaped my scrutiny. I left it in out of the goodness of my Christmas heart. What we have here is the world's tallest radio tower, sticking out of the home, probably. I don't know what that is. I believe it's the Thomas Painter House. And yes, my beliefs have been confirmed and verified. Wait, no they haven't. They haven't at all. Man, no, I can't find any information about this one, so I guess we'll skip it. And we'll just remark upon its dubious foundation. Ain't got me time to sit here and look through everything. They intentionally make they just migrated all these pictures also to a different site. And they're claiming that they're going to start migrating all to NARA, which is the Archive National. If you've ever gone to that site, it is the slowest, most ponderous site that you might as well give up unless you know exactly what you're looking for. This one also, we are not given a number or anything, any information, nothing, just that's it. So we're going to speculate on our own time, okay? But I guess still you get the point. Connecticut definitely winning the most selfish when it comes to their information. But it's the usual we've come across, No too many surprises here. Just the usual fires and cryptic assignment and to random prominent architect. This is the Thomas Waterman. Wait, no it's not. This is called Stonehouse. That's it. That's all you get. Stonehouse. There is a page of writing, and on it says the word photographs. That's it. And you're seeing the photographs, so, you've done thorough research. Believe it or not, you've done as thorough of research as could be allowed. There's a little post-it note here, supplemental data, which says late 18th, 2-story. Very, very good. That's the kind of deep dive that we've come to expect. I will say that's a lovely view of a lovely home next door. My God, is that freaking Pollyanna's house? What was that kid's name? Jimmy Bean? I think it's a great name. Jimmy Bean. The Bowen House. 555. This is in Woodstock. Not that Woodstock. You already know. It's amazing how many states share the same city names with each other. And wow, this is a gorgeous gingerbread house. Gotta love that trim. That is some nice work. God damn. More of that, please. I'll take all you got. That is a handsome property. I do like that stuff more than Hey, look at that doorknob. Now, there's an original one. That's very interesting. I love when they do it. It's so obvious. Like, this is original to the house, right? Well, then I'm going to get a fucking close-up of it. Look at that window. Holy God. That is exceptional. I wonder if you could even get that built today without having to hire someone from Italy. I really do. We got some construction fellers that frequent this channel. Maybe they can chime in. Oh boy. What a gorgeous house. This is quite over the top. This stone house, they say. What a Bowen house. Yeah, still a very unassuming name of that. And just about as little information as stone house. A lot of more pictures though. Let's see what we can find out about this one. It says, well, it literally says, nothing. Just the name. Okay. What a beautiful place. Just every inch of it there's something there. Decorated or some sort of trim piece or picture of a weird inbred relative. Just quite astounding. What's behind the door there, huh? The doorways alone are just, oh my god, what a crazy place. Oh, it's just a regular ho-hum, 1800s, crappy. Doing good home. Don't worry, we'll bulldoze all of you guys. Well, hello, old timer. Yeah, just these houses, man, they're just ridiculous. That's Grandpa's chair over there by the fire. That's Grandpa himself. Isn't George Washington? Yeah, fool's got a turkey neck. Looks like someone's old aunt. Unmistakable cloud hair, though. And this must be the basement. Curiouser and curiouser. A bowling alley? What in tarnation? What are these wooden balls? The world's first bowling alley. Oh, really? So the same symbolism that you'd find at the same time on the other side of the country, all the way over there in California. Now that's interesting. What do they got in common besides being, entirely different states? Which actually, they are actually entirely different countries. If interpretation of the law is accurate. But we are states in the same way that the state of Israel, we are nation states. We are individual states. We're not one country. There's a big difference there. It's a legal thing, but I'll have to get into that sometime. When I'm not drooling over some old lady's parlor. I mean, like what we're doing now, looking at the pictures, not like in real life. Fix that in post, Jimmy. Well, the doghouse even looks like a fancy gingerbread man lived there. It's quite the estate. Too bad I don't know anything about it, except for whoever Bowman was. It's a curious thing, these holidays. They just come up. Time, I feel like it's just speeding up, and it's not. I know everyone says, oh, it's because when you get older, but I don't think that's it, because it can't be that drastically of a difference. And I keep hearing young people say it too. So, neener. This is the end of my patience, is what this is. This is the Jessup. Like you're playing Jessup, you put your fine clothes on? That's what they call Jessup. And this one we are told, nothing. Of course, just the name, Jessup. God, what a looker. These amazing mansions out here. They just never stop. It's just a school? How about that? Well, if it's not, it looks just like it. This is the Brantford Academy. I come in, did not see that one coming. I thought this was going to be a St. James for sure. It's owned by the Masonic Lodge of Brantford. Moved from the site of the present town hall in 1898. And it has got a basement. Somehow they moved the basement. And that is all we're told. 1820 was built. And, pretty much it. What an impressive cupola you got there. Now tell me, what does it do? What's it for? Why you make it? You don't know? What makes you think you spend all the taxpayer people money on? Here's what we'll be having the Royal Ball later. Inside the assembly room, of course. That's what it's called here. Look at those foundations. My God. Everywhere you look. Look at that bad boy. That's ridiculous. Anyone would try to tell you they built that way. I mean, it should go down at least like that. Instead, he just looks like a toothless little guy, like, dang. You look that way. Okay. A super McDonald's arch. It's amazing this old building is being boarded up? Why? I don't know. Abandoned schools, abandoned fools. No one in the halls to think you're cool. Cool, so relative. No one ever thought I was cool. I don't think. If they did, well, shame on them, because I wasn't. I totally had them fooled. Oh, look at somebody peepeed on that screen. I'm not sure how you even get that sort of trajectory. This is a really worthless survey. Look, this guy's playing a harmonica. I know you see it. Yeah, well, if you don't, let me just show you. Right, we get the stunner shades, right? Here's his lips. Little hands here, He's holding on to it. Give him a little nose. He got the lonely school auditorium blues. Man, this is pretty worthless from a historical. But if you're in the market for eupeptic dialogue, well, stay tuned. I bet you're enjoying yourself. I'll admit that heretofore, this has not been very educational. So you do it. You try to sift through this labyrinth of confusion to find little tidbits of information from the old world, such as the fact that this is the Israel Putnam School, the town's first modern school building, completed in 1902, embodied all the 20th century concerns for fire safety, generous light, ventilation, student amenities, and all that. It was intended to reflect the community's commitment to education and progress. What it looked like this here, at its founding? I think that's safe to say. Yes, it's founding. Now, I see that it's been kept in fine condition. It's classically styled ornamentation and all that, which really isn't there anymore. Looks like most of it's been pilfered by hoodlums. J. Chandler Fowler and Edward I. Wilson of Boston were the architects who had extensive practice designing houses in the city's upper middle class suburbs. And in 1986, this building was rehabilitated for use as senior citizen housing. Hopefully, they improved upon its current appearance. Note to the contractor here.
Stay. Remove. Doom.
I'm sorry, door. It says door. Remove, there. A sneak preview of the construction that was to come, which has already passed. Since this was taking place in the 60s, this description, or at least the 80s. This is what I'm talking about, Connecticut. You're so all over the freaking place. We find ourselves at a beautiful little old world bridge. This is called the Patch Street Bridge, somewhere in Danbury. And this is a typical example of an increasingly rare class of municipally built structures. Maybe the best preserved and most unusual bridge built in Danbury during the generation of response to a disastrous flood. The durability of these stone bridges, I'm told, had much appeal in the late 19th century, especially at flood-prone crossings due to the 1869 flood, Cohanza Brook, which destroyed a number of bridges, including many earlier wood crossings. So the town was especially sensitive. And in 1880 or whatever, to 1900, they replaced most of the local wood bridges, we're told, with stone. Which, to be honest with you, the stone bridges were always there. Most of them were double-arched, but, the narrow stream here sort of precludes that option, making this one, believe it or not, more expensive. This apparently the town voted for, and it was built by an aging but prominent local stonemason named Peter Rowan. Yep, one man. Can you believe it? I can't. Now, this is part of a memorandum of agreement amongst the city of Danbury, and you know where this is going. The Army Corps, the Connecticut State Historic Preservation Officer, and the Advisory Council. Well, they need the archival, photographic, and archaeological documentation of the Patch Street Bridge before and during the bridge demolition. Despite what are the amazing historic value I just told you about, I'm afraid the guardrail here, as requirements now impose, exceed the estimated strength. Sometime between 1985 and 1986 in the past, this bridge will be destroyed. In the future. Talk about Danbury, agricultural community. True. Trade outlet to the Long Island Sound by way of the valley of the Norwalk River. The town's emergence as a hatting center, that's right, hat makers, began shortly after the Revolution. And until the arrival of the railroad, commerce was rather uneven. And this pivotal event led to the expansion of hat manufacturing at steam-powered factories and increased the number of workers at hat factories by 200%. Still River, which is Danbury's major stream, a tributary of the Housatonic River. In 1858, you have an Elizabeth White Balmforth, the daughter of a pioneer local hat maker Russell White, inherited 22 acres of the farmland, sold some of it to brothers Darius and Jonathan Stevens, who were local builders, running a planing mill, and they built homes on their own lots and elsewhere in the new neighborhoods, and they sold some lots, and the town opened Patch Street, which was originally just a path that was partially owned by these brothers. The Balmforth's lots, explicitly excluding industrial use, and she herself, Miss Balmforth, built a large home at the southwest corner to preside over a residential neighborhood, but her control did not extend along Balmforth Avenue to the north. More modest homes of laborers appeared, hat factories appeared, and a silver plating plant appeared. Ethnic diversity appeared. First Germans arrived, joining Yankee and Irish residents, followed by Italian. Blacksmiths showed up, at least one did. And unlike Elizabeth Snooty Balmforth, Darius and Jonathan Stevens have evidently had no special aesthetic requirements in developing their property. They and other local landowners sold smaller lots than the Balmforths to middle and working class hatters and laborers like the ones destroying the bridge now. It's tragic, really. Today, what's left is pretty much, nothing. There was a flood in January 1869 caused by the failure of two recent water supply reservoir dams, destroyed much of the property and killed even a few people. Destroyed the bridges. The immediate aftermath, this town wooden bridge was replaced. The Stevens lumberyard and mill was damaged. Part of an older plan to obtain water power, the Stevens completed a poorly documented, unusual system in 1871. The flume of which led to a turbine which powered a wire rope drive system to the mill 1,300 feet away, which had transmission wheels that hung in pairs from 3 towers 20 feet high. That sounds like quite the steampunk operation. This is virtually no available information on the composition or location of the dam. By the 1880s, Stevens had abandoned this system along with their business. They sold off their lots and faded into the night. Surviving town records on the bridge construction were very incomplete. Look at that. What lives down there, I wonder. And very inadequate. No one knows whether authorized bridges were actually built. The town completed at least 5 and possibly 8 stone bridges in the next 40 years between 1869 and 1907. During a period of rapid population growth and urban expansion, there was a policy for replacing one bridge a year in stone to diminish the frequency of bridge repairs. They had considered metal bridges, but despite lower metal bridge costs, the perceived greater durability of stone proved to be the deciding factor at all larger crossings. And here goes the last stone bridge in the area. Now, to my brain, the stone bridges are more aesthetically pleasing by far than the metal counterparts. The conduit looks a little clogged, as it would be. And it's perplexing to me that we're spending so much time on this bridge. But we are. Now, it says here that they found a 2-foot diameter wooden pipe running under the bridge, which clearly precedes that of the Patch Street Bridge. So that's interesting. And they also found a 5-foot high mortared rubble retaining wall, several feet below the black-topped driveway. And they have no records anywhere from whence it came. They suspected maybe part of the foundation, smaller cobbler shop perhaps. They also excavated small concrete pillars that were amongst unmortared boulder and rubble walls which lined the brook, containing the sand, brick, cobble, boulder, and asphalt fill, which rose from just above the waterline to the elevation. Essentially, they determined that the walls of this flowing body of water were actually a canal, and there's no town records on from whence that came, which would be confusing, unless you adopt the theory that we hold here. In that case, it falls right in line. And we're moving on to the Merritt Parkway Bridge, which is part of the, as if you couldn't guess, the Merritt Parkway. Built in the 30s, Merritt Parkway was regarded as a model in its day because of the architectural qualities of its more than 60 bridges. In 1988, they advised replacement of the structure to mitigate the adverse effects. The State Historic Preservation Office stipulated documentation replication of design elements on the new bridge, which is why we're here now over-explaining. And I can see here some of the features. That this is an old world wonder. Carrying Connecticut Route 59, or Sport Hill Road, originally known as. And this is a single reinforced concrete rigid frame, part of a 37-mile limited access highway. A masterpiece of parkway design, characterized by the comprehensive effort to adapt the alignment to its physical setting, creating a picturesque appearance. Rises and falls and curves with the hills that it crosses. Grass shoulders and native shrubs and trees. This is one of the original 35 bridges they'd crossed. There was another 36 that carried the Merritt over local roads. Quite a lot of bridge work for such an early time. While each of the 35 bridges is unique in its ornamental character, about 30 of them exhibit Art Deco styling or some variant of it. Some of them are more of a Gothic revival, but really all these terms are interchangeable aside from a few features. We could wax on and on if we'd like to about the telescoping plane, the pylons with small niches, diagonal lines, and abstracted acanthus leaf motif. Oh, we could. We could talk about classically derived balustrade, rectangular section balusters, simple piers, shallow pilasters, embedded vertical frame members, molded caps, classic entablature, stylized Gothic buttresses. Instead, I like to quote from Warren Creamer, the State Highway Department's project engineer, who later described the situation that the parkway was intended to alleviate. He says, "It is certain that many of you have occasion to use the post road, have doubtless in your journey from Bridgeport to New York City been confronted by an amazing succession of traffic lights that pass through the city and town streets, ultimately arriving in the city, nerves on edge and facing exhaustion." Well, in order to alleviate that situation that Mr. Creamer described, we recruited a man named Earl Wood and architect George Dunkelberger, a native of Camden, New Jersey, who studied at Drexel Institute before working in Hartford as a draftsman. And in any case, everyone just loves this part of the parkway. And despite such praise, being featured in books called like American Highway Practice, Yale University's Space, Time, and Architecture, General Motors Futurama exhibition at the World's Fair praised the Merritt Parkway as one of the highways that strike us as excellent. Despite such praise, the design principles were superseded immediately after World War II because the maximum speed here was 45 miles per hour. So we need to crash our cars much faster than that. So high-speed motoring that overtook the desirability of scenic motoring. Says who? No one, but we no longer care about scenic stuff. We just want to race cars. And so therefore it goes by the wayside. We all suffer for it. I'd like to know what fucking poll they took and said, "Hey, would you guys rather have a scenic roadside or a high-speed bullshit? Which way do you think that would go?" And we're talking about the 50s. Wish every car would only go 45 miles an hour. These powers that be, they claim they have our best interests in mind. It's like all the reasons that they should make laws, they don't. In all the areas where we don't want to be regulated, they do. And I can't believe that most of the world hasn't reached a tipping point on this shit. all these jackasses do is write laws or spend money. How about getting rid of laws? Can we have a department for that? How about saving money? We got a department for that? Where's the inflection point? I would imagine that it would have been here already, but maybe next year. You would think that there'd be a wake-up call for Americans. I'm sure the rest of the world has kind of woken up. The idea that we are the primary cause of war around the whole realm. This year is ridiculous. Here you have people in this country celebrating Christmas, supposedly celebrating the birth of the Prince of Peace, while the very places he was born 2,000 years ago, we are greenlighting the destruction and the cruelty, just massacring innocents. The civilians, I mean. No one's truly innocent. You may say, rightfully so, that, well, the one side is using the civilians as meat shields. They're hiding behind them, and that's why. You may be accurate. But usually, when you use a civilian as a meat shield, usually that is a deterrent. It's pretty rare when an assailant takes someone hostage and the police just shoot the hostage. That's not really an excuse. Well, the perpetrators are hiding behind the innocents, and so, bomb the innocents. I don't understand, no matter what side you fall on, I don't want to get, it's such a controversial issue, people could freak out all over the place. I don't want to get all caught up in that game. All I'm saying is, no matter what side of the issue, no matter what side you sympathize with, I don't think anyone can really condone the mass, large-scale destruction of predominantly women and children. I don't see it. And for this country to be the only country that's voting against the ceasefire is a very, very bad look. Even if they didn't mean it. Even if they were half-heartedly, they voted, yes, Israel, stand down. And Israel thumbed their nose at them and refused. At least let the record stand that at some point in the process, America voted for peace. But no, we're the only nation that voted against the peace, against the ceasefire, except for some cowardly European nations that just abstain from voting entirely, which that should get you thrown out of the freaking council. But I'm not sure if most Americans are aware of that. Multiple times there have been peace deals brought forward or calls for a ceasefire, and America's been the only country that voted against it. I have like 100 and however many, 150, and that is a very bad look. That's all. So whether or not it's true that we are the cause of majority of the world's conflicts currently, whether or not that's true, on the outside, it sure does look like it when things like that happen. And I don't understand unless we're run by the most brain-dead, arrogant know-nothings, or they're deliberately trying to bring down the country. Now, the people that continue to vote in that direction think you're going to be faced with a tough decision soon. You'll either probably have to come to terms with the idea that the elections are not representative of the people, or you're going to have to come to the conclusion that it's you that keeps empowering these clowns, bringing about the destruction of your own nation. Whichever way you want to cut that cake, I think that you're going to have to come to terms with that fairly soon. I understand that neither of those is an easy choice, especially if you've been very vocal about the integrity of the elections and the integrity of your choice. That Reaper's going to come to call. You got to face that demon at some point. We've all been wrong before, and there's no shame. No one wants to say, ha, told you so. Nobody. Most people didn't tell you so. We just want to welcome you with open arms to not the side. There's no side of the red and blue game. That's accurate. There's the game, and then there's the people standing on the sidelines, ready to flip the table over and start something new. Whenever you're all ready, standing by, we will gladly welcome you with open arms, because we realize this game sucks. It's imbalanced, the rules are broken, it's inconsistent, or they may be an excellent rule book, but players don't follow it, or the referees are following a different playbook. It ain't a game anymore. It's a mockery. And the sooner that we can unite, at least on that point, well, the sooner we can start a new game. A co-op game, maybe. Something with a little less, take that. Something where maybe the worst outcome is you get an overzealous quarterback type figures that are trying to take charge in their own eagerness. I'll take that any day over the zero-sum game. And I know I'm talking in kind of couched terms because I'm not trying to inflame anyone's emotions. I'm not trying to stand on some pulpit, force my viewpoint on anybody. I'm down here with you, looking around going, am I right, dudes? There's no, and if I'm coming across like preachy, that's not my intent. I don't know anything. I just recognize the shitty situation when it's thrust upon me. I recognize dog turds when I step in it, put it that way. And it comes from experience. I'm a certified dog shit stepper, a veteran in the game of stepping on dog shit. Right. It took me years to understand that I should walk outside carrying a flashlight at all times. Because these man's best friends, while they are some endearing mammals, they are conditioned, battle-hardened sappers. And they have the incessant ability to landmine very well-worn paths of travel. I'm looking at you, Tuxedo. If you had opposable thumbs, you'd be walking washing my loafer, you old patio pooping motherfucker. Well, that concludes political drone footage tour from the past, conducted by an unmanned aircraft, a dirigible perhaps, from the past, brought to you here in the future, undertaken by the Historic American Building Survey and the Historic American Engineering Record, Division of the National Park Service. The Merritt Parkway recording project was sponsored and funded by the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration. Thank you. Now I'll be back at the merchandise booth if you guys want a t-shirt or a little onesie, happily signing autographs and chatting exuberantly with the small gathering crowd of fans. Although it might look to the outsider like I'm just feeding pigeons. Trust me, they're fans, and we speak to each other. Like that. It's a local dialect. You wouldn't understand. It's Pigeon English. That was terrible. I'll see myself out after that one.